This video will go over writing the proposal. In the bluish purple, I guess it's purple box at the top, there's the fake title, the background, and a little bit of a note here to get you started so you have some context for this lesson. So the title is Your Future Depends on Going to Class, Annotated Bibliography and Proposal. Notice here that you've got the colon and then a space between the first part of the title and the second. The background information is here just so you have context for what this sample is. And then I have a little note down here that explains what's in the document. In fact, the document is broken up into sections, and I used purple to show you, okay, here's the first section of it, how many words are in it, here's the second section of it here, and then I broke that into sections and I put word counts with all of it. The reason I broke it into sections like this is because it would be easy for you to use and even to take what you have in this document right here and copy and paste it into the template. So you've been writing inside of the template. I'm going to head back over to the schedule and just open up the template. The schedule will look a little different when you're in it because I have my notes for myself that I use while I'm creating content. The bright blue highlight is my note to me that I need to create something. But this is the template that you're familiar with. You have seen this before. You've been in it already. And I'm going to go to the part of this document where the proposal exists. And it's a little bit lower down in here after the annotations. There's the proposal. So there's a note inside the template that says, okay, this is where your proposal would go, and so on and so forth. If you want, you could take the proposal lesson linked off the schedule here, writing the proposal, the one I'm inside of, and you could take this and copy and paste it into the template that you're using, and then delete my content. And that way, it's really easy for you to follow the different parts of the proposal. So a proposal should have several different parts: an introduction that states the background with what the problem is and what the need is that needs to happen. When you are writing a proposal, you are proposing or suggesting that there needs to be some sort of change. You can see this paragraph here introduces the topic here. This is what the problem is. This is what needs to be done. And then at the end of it, there's a word count for how long this particular section is. So again, you can copy and paste this into your template that you're using, and then write your sentences and delete the ones that I have here in the sample. The next section of the proposal is the cause of the problem and consequences of the problem. So you can see that I broke that up into two subparts: causes and consequences. Basically, by doing causes and consequences, you are structuring the background information on your topic. So on this attendance problem, we have the causes here in a paragraph that's about, well, there it is, it's 101 words. So you should aim for something similar in your proposal. The consequences section of it goes over consequences related to the topic. I want you to notice a couple things in this section. The first is that it summarizes from the evidence that's in the annotations. So here's an example that would use information from the annotations, including a quoted source and a page number. You should have at least one quoted source or so on each page of your proposal. You might take a moment now to pause this video and write that down, or leave yourself a note if you are copying and pasting out of this document. Papers that don't have any quoted information in them are not as strong and show that the student is avoiding using quoted material. It's part of the assignment and it is required to use quoted material. You'll see that the next sentence draws a similarity between sources. So that's the language of comparison, and it extends into several sources. I will tell you that you'll see more sources here than you have, and that's because this proposal lesson is taken from a different version of the assignment that has 5 sources. As I've mentioned before, your assignment is abbreviated due to the circumstances of our semester, so you're only doing three sources. So if you do catch looking at this, that there are more sources than you are required to have, note that that's because this is from a longer version of the assignment. So you only need to have 3. I put a note to the side that I think is important. You'll see here that this is a sort of a disclaimer. The student writes about how more research needs to be done. That is a way of saying that your own study is valid. You'll also notice it uses first person. I've mentioned before that in the annotations, first person should not be used. In the proposal, it's perfectly fine. In this next part, what's the note about sources? Hold on a second. I'm not sure why that's there. I'm going to delete that so you're not going to see it when you open the document. Okay. So here we have a continued section on the consequences. Notice that there are 2 paragraphs here. So this section is a little bit longer, and then it ends, the proposal ends with statements about the future with solutions. This is a very important part of your document to come up with some solutions. After all, when you're proposing something, you're proposing to make a change. And so you shouldn't just say, hey, something needs to change. You need to say, here's some things we could do to make an improvement. One of the things that is in this example that works really well is this bulleted list of solutions. If you have a few solutions, you might want to do a bulleted list. It is not required, but it actually saved this writer some space and helped them summarize. I think the bullets look nice. You'll see that this last section on statements about the future with solutions is 162 words for a grand total of 701 words. I'm going to leave this document now and I'm going to head back over to the schedule. So what I want you to do is look at the sample papers here and their proposals that are up at the top. I'm not going to open all of these for the sake of time. You've already seen sample paper 1, sample paper 2, and sample paper 3. Those have been shared before this particular week. The new addition is sample paper number 4. I'm not going to open it up all the way, but I'll just show you what the topic is. This was written by a student who believed that students should be allowed to have conceal and carry permits, that if they had a conceal and carry permit for a gun, they should be allowed to have it on campus. I will remind you that you will see some features in the samples that you don't have. One is that they have a running head because that was part of APA 6. You don't have to do that. It's gone from the template. The other thing that you need to pay attention to is that in the sample papers, the proposals come first, For your work, your proposal will come at the end. So your annotations will be before the proposal. So just note that when you're looking at the different samples. You can see in this sample paper, like the others, that the proposal follows the structure that I just showed you in the proposal lesson in the other document. And then after that, the annotations begin. So just to show you that these aren't all perfect, the student did need to have a hanging indent for the annotations. So they're not all perfect, but otherwise I'd say this is actually a very, very good paper. Just a couple minor things with some spacing and stuff. But other than that, it looks pretty much very close to what yours is going to look like. So just remember that these are slightly different than what you have, but they are close enough. That's the end of the lesson on writing the proposal part of your project / paper number 3.